Good morning, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society bringing you a special update on the Atlantic Basin regarding Humberto and future Imelda, which is still potential tropical cyclone number 9. If we take a look at the main page from the National Hurricane Center, we can see 9 here, located just north of eastern Cuba, and Humberto out here approaching 60 degrees west. Let's see. Yep, there we go, just on the other side. And now we have Tropical Depression 9. The 11 just came out, so please forgive me on that. If we take a look at the satellite, we can definitely see where a circulation is certainly beginning to develop. We've got a few frames on this. I'm not sure if we've got a full 90, but as you can see here, definitely starting to get a low level turning, and we've got some, if we want to really break into it, well, we get this, it refreshes every minute. So we've got low level clouds heading in like this. You've got clouds coming in like this. And then if you look through, you've got clouds coming around like that as well. So, and there's obvious eastern motion there. So we're definitely getting something starting to coalesce in that region right there. No doubt about it. And as of the 11 a.m. advisory, this just came out. It's the whole reason that we're live here this morning. We now have a tropical depression. And currently, tropical depression number 9 is located at 22.0 north, 76.2 west, about 180 miles northwest of the eastern tip of Cuba, about 115 miles south-southwest of the central Bahamas. Maximum sustained winds of 35 miles an hour, moving northwest at 6 miles an hour. Not very quick, not very fast at all. Minimum central pressure down to 1,005 millibars. With this advisory, we have some changes in our watches and warnings. A tropical storm watch has now been issued for portions of the east coast of Florida from the Palm Beach Martin County line northward to the Flagler Volusia County line. So we now have tropical storm watches for a portion of the Florida Peninsula. A tropical storm warning remains in effect for the central Bahamas and the northwestern Bahamas. And the tropical storm watch is just for Florida. So all the tropical storm warnings have been upgraded for pretty much all of the Bahamas, central and northern Bahamas. So please, folks, respect this system. It might only be a tropical storm, might not have great winds, but it's going to have the potential for great rains. Let's get down here to the hazards affecting land, the most important part of a NHC public advisory. Wind, we do know that with our tropical storm watches and warnings, wind impacts are anticipated, tropical storm force winds and conditions. The rainfall, this is the big part of Tropical Depression 9 and Imelda's threat. So, Tropical Depression 9 is expected to produce rainfall amounts of 8 to 12 inches with isolated maximum totals of 16 inches possible across eastern Cuba and 4 to 8 inches of rain in the Bahamas, across Hispaniola, Jamaica, and portions of central and southern Cuba. An additional 2 to 4 inches of rain is expected. This rainfall will likely produce flash and urban flooding. Mudslides are also possible in areas of higher terrain across eastern Cuba, Hispaniola, and Jamaica. Moisture from Tropical Depression 9 will lead to a threat of heavy rainfall well to the north from coastal Georgia through the Carolinas and into the southern mid-Atlantic states into early next week, which could cause flash urban and river flooding. Storm surge. We're looking at 1 to 3 feet above ground level in the area of onshore winds here in the northwestern Bahamas. We do not have anything on what could be potential storm surge impacts for the southeast coast of the U.S. And then obviously our swells and surf, folks, just respect the water, please, and check with your local officials. The new cone. Now, a lot of folks are going to look at this, especially up here into the Carolinas, and breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief. Please keep in mind that there is still going to be a lot of uncertainty associated with this forecast, but the forecast is trending a lot better for the Carolinas. It's definitely getting better. As you can see, it is not getting up to the coast, and the cone of uncertainty is just barely along the coast right now. Things are still subject to change, no doubt about it. But this is at least turning out to be, a better case scenario than what some of the stuff that we were looking at just less than 24 hours ago. Taking a look at our spaghetti plots, the plot gets even better here. As we can see here, let's erase what we had there. A lot of the ensemble, or a lot of the spaghetti members here are bringing it right into about this region, maybe about parallel with the area of Jacksonville area, Florida, Georgia borderline, right in there, and then causing a turn out to the east in response to the increased influence and strength of Humberto. So, as we can see, we only have the Euro AI and the HMON. Now, I can tell you the HMON stalls it right here. We'll go over it here in a little bit. And then this is a degraded circulation. It's already pretty much fallen apart. But these would be considered outliers now. The forecast is, we've got some uncertainty still, but this is starting to get pretty decent agreement at this point in time. And if these trends continue, we may only get, coastal impacts here into the southeast. Maybe not as much as what we were looking at inland. Our key messages for Tropical Depression number 9. Let's go ahead and go through these. Paragraph number 1. The depression is expected to strengthen and bringing tropical storm conditions to portions of the central and northwestern Bahamas through Sunday night. Tropical storm conditions are also possible along portions of the east coast of central Florida beginning Monday, where a tropical storm watch has been issued. Paragraph number 2. Rainfall associated with this system will continue to impact eastern Cuba, Hispaniola, Jamaica, and the Bahamas through the weekend, which will likely produce flash and urban flooding. Mudslides are possible in the higher terrain. Paragraph 3. There is a significant threat of heavy rainfall early next week from coastal Georgia through the Carolinas and into the southern mid-Atlantic states, which could cause flash, urban, and river flooding. Paragraph number 4. The depression is expected to be at or near hurricane intensity when it approaches the southeast U.S. coast early next week, where there is a risk of storm surge and wind impacts. Although it is too soon to specify the exact location and magnitude of impacts, residents should closely monitor the latest forecast updates and ensure that they have their hurricane plan in place. Totally agree. There still remains quite a bit of uncertainty with this. It's not a guarantee yet, but it's certainly looking better. For the folks here in South Carolina, your governor has declared a state of emergency. Please continue to monitor your local emergency management and your state emergency management for any particular things that may get issued, maybe voluntary evacuation orders for low-lying areas and coastal communities. I know I haven't heard anything from the Florida Disaster or Emergency Management yet. So if that starts to come out, because the watches were just issued 10 minutes ago, if anything does come out, we will have it in the 6 p.m. live tonight. Our discussion. So we're going to go over all of this, being that this is the one that has the greatest threat to folks in residential areas, including outside of the United States. So I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to read this whole thing. Deep convection has increased over the disturbance this morning, and drops on data from a NOAA Hurricane Hunter aircraft indicate pressures are gradually falling between the central Bahamas and eastern Cuba. In addition, drops on and flight level wind data from the aircraft show the low-level circulation has become better defined. Based on these developments, the disturbance is now classified as a 30-knot tropical depression for this advisory. An Air Force Reserve Hurricane Hunter mission is scheduled to investigate the disturbance later today. The initial motion of the depression is an uncertain 325 degrees at 5 knots. A north-northwestern motion is expected as the system moves between a deep layer trough over the southeastern U.S. and a subtropical ridge over the Atlantic. The track models are in good agreement through 72 hours. And little change was made to this portion of the NHC track forecast. This brings the center over the central and northwestern Bahamas this weekend, moving roughly parallel to but offshore the east coast of Florida. During this time, strengthening is forecast as the system moves over warm waters within a defluent upper level environment. However, the aforementioned trough should impart moderate southerly shear over the cyclone, likely resulting in an asymmetric storm structure. The near-term NHC intensity forecast was raised slightly from the previous one and still shows a 65-knot hurricane early next week off of the southeast U.S. coast. The track forecast beyond 72 hours is still of low confidence, with bifurcation of solutions noted in the various deterministic models and GFS, Euro, and Google DeepMind ensemble members. Much depends on the future track of Hurricane Humberto, the extent into which it erodes the steering ridge over the Atlantic, and the strength and timing of an upper trough expected to dig over the northwestern Atlantic next week. A majority of the deterministic guidance suggests that the system will slow down or briefly stall offshore of the southeast U.S. coast before turning sharply eastward. There remains considerable uncertainty in how quickly this might occur, and it must be noted that some ensemble solutions still show the system reaching the coast. For now, the NHC forecast continues to show an eastward turn at days 4 and 5, but at a much slower forward speed than most of the models. Given the risk for tropical storm force winds along the east coast of Florida, a tropical storm watch has been issued from the Palm Beach Martin County line northward to the Flagler Volusia County line. Although it is still too early to specify the details of potential impacts along the remainder of the southeast U.S. coast, there remains a risk of heavy rainfall, storm surge, and wind impacts. If we scroll down here to our forecast positions and maximum winds in the discussion, we see that it will have Imelda within the next 24 hours, will get named and be a bona fide tropical storm at that point, and is anticipated to reach hurricane intensity within the next 72 hours and maintain that intensity through days 3 and 4, and then slowly begin to weaken here from days 4 and 5, going back down to a tropical storm, albeit 5 miles an hour. You're not going to tell the difference. Our rainfall forecast, as you can see here for our friends into the Bahamas, quite a few areas of 6 to 8 inches are possible on a lot of these islands. Granted, they're not, they're used to having heavy rainfall events, but 6 to 8 inches is still quite impactful. Please stay safe, folks. Make sure all of the loose items that are outside, it'll blow around in tropical storm force winds. So please, folks, rush any preparations that you may have to completion. If we look at the rainfall forecast for the southeast, now one thing that I do want to point out is that we have the official WPC forecast here on the left. We have the NOAA blend of models forecast on the right. And as I run this forward, we will note that the WPC forecast has a great amount of rain, especially for the Charleston area there in South Carolina. But look at the NOAA blend of models. So there's quite a bit less rainfall getting into the more inland communities compared for South Carolina compared to what we have for the Weather Prediction Center's 8 a.m. update. Now we're going to get another update from the Weather Prediction Center here at 2 p.m. this afternoon Eastern, and we may see a reduction in some of these rainfall totals. I hope so. 10 inches, 9, 10, 8, 7 inches over an extended period of time, that could be quite impactful. But it is definitely, if you live along the coast here, Florida, east coast of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, getting into parts of North Carolina, it is highly recommended that you continue to monitor this storm and definitely pay attention to your local National Weather Service office. Our tropical storm force wind speed probabilities here, as you can see with our new 11 a.m. advisory, we've got this 30 to 40% range that is running pretty well along the entirety of where we're at now from Palm Beach for the watches there at Palm Beach County northward. We may see tropical storm watches depending on further advisories and if there is any shift to the right or the east with this cone. We may get tropical storm watches that run all the way up through northeast Florida, getting into coastal Georgia and through South Carolina as well, just because this 30 to 40% bracket almost guarantees that you're going to see some type of watch or warning issued. Our most likely arrival time of those tropical storm force winds, especially for the watch area here along the Florida East Coast, are going to be sometime in and around sunrise for the extreme southern part of the watch area on Monday, and then slowly coming up the coastline as what would then be Imelda is slowly continuing to move northward as well, and also beginning to intensify. If we look at the rip currents, now this is today. As you can see, we've only got a moderate risk of rip currents here for the east coast of Florida. Tomorrow becomes a different story. In the areas located and highlighted in red, please stay out of the water. That's all I ask. Don't become a statistic to a rip current. And this high risk will expand up the coastline. It will. We're going to end up with high risks all the way up through. And then Humberto's influence could also create some rip currents further north of North Carolina. And we also have rip current risks here for portions of the Virgin Islands, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the northern shore of Puerto Rico. So extreme southwestern California as well. And that's from NARDA. But we're not going to talk about that right now. All right. I am going to go ahead and jump over now to Humberto. Sean's got a question over here on YouTube. Is there lightning in Humberto? Well, yes, there is lightning in Humberto. Let's wait on this to load. And as you can see, there is quite a bit of lightning in and around the center of circulation, which usually would lean towards Humberto intensifying. And it has completed its eye wall replacement cycle that it was performing overnight. And though it does look like that it's taking a little bit of a southerly jog here, a little bit of a southwesterly jog. So that is, that's going to potentially change a few things. It's going to be just a little bit of a different angle of approach, and maybe approaching and influencing Imelda just a slight bit earlier. So now what we're going to do is just run over all the particulars for Humberto. We are going to see some type of watches issued and most likely tropical storm warnings issued for Bermuda from this. And they now got an interest in Bermuda, should monitor the progress. So we are located with Humberto at 22.7 north, 60.2 degrees west, about 365 miles north-northeast of the northern Leeward Islands, and about 720 miles south-southeast of Bermuda. Maximum sustained winds are 145 miles an hour and currently moving west-northwest at 8 miles an hour. Minimum central pressure of 938 millibars. While there are no coastal watches or warnings in effect, Bermuda will see them later on down the road. And the swells. This is a mid-grade Category 4 hurricane, folks. Out there in the open waters of the Atlantic, swells and wave action is going to be generated. Please, please, please respect the water. Okay, we take a look at the cone. As we could see, major all the way through until it starts to make that turn. And then as it starts to make that turn, Bermuda is in the extreme south side of the cone itself, but certainly way too close. As you can see here on its wind speed probabilities, we're in the 60 to 70 and a lot closer to the 70 than we are 80, or to the 70 and 80. Let's see. It is currently 62 for our tropical storm force winds and 22% for our 58 mile an hour winds, and for hurricane force winds at 10%. I haven't pulled up the wind speed probabilities in the text yet for tropical depression number 9, because I was honestly waiting on this thing to get its act together, and then once we got a solid spot, then we can go with it. It's still it's not 100%. It's definitely a tropical cyclone, but it's not 100% consolidated, that surface circulation, just yet. So, all right, with our discussion here with Humberto, since the last advisory, Humberto's eye has once again become better defined, and recent WSFM microwave imagery at 10:01 UTC did not indicate the presence of concentric eye walls. Together, these data suggest Humberto completed its eye wall replacement cycle. Recent objective and subjective intensity estimates range near 120 knots to just below 130 knots, so the initial intensity remains 125 knots. This is going to be a very important part of this, because this The second paragraph is about its potential intensity, and we'll go over it after I read it. So, with the previous eye wall cycle completing, Humberto may resume strengthening today, and this is still indicated in the official forecast. Fluctuations in intensity, up or down, will be possible with any additional eye wall replacement cycles, and the predictability of the specific timings of such event is quite low. Even as the ship's secondary eye wall prediction indicates a 2 in 3 chance that another one will occur in the next 2 days, with the environment otherwise expected to be favorable for strengthening. The NHC forecast continues to show strengthening and maintains Humberto at or above its current strength through the weekend. Next week, Humberto should begin to interact with the mid-latitude trough and undergo a transformation resulting in a significant expansion of its surface wind field and eventual extratropical transition. While Humberto's peak winds should decrease as a result, the spread of impacts will likely increase as the cyclone grows in size. The hurricane has accelerated a little with forward speed now near 7 knots. Humberto will move around the subtropical ridge for the next few days and then accelerate northeastward as it interacts with the aforementioned mid-latitude trough. The official forecast is very similar to the previous one, but with a slightly faster forward speed. The NHC forecast remains closest to a blend of the Google DeepMind and NOAA AIGEFS ensemble means, and the previous official forecast. Don't have Cat 5 in its forecast now, but it is very possible that it could, no doubt. Eye wall replacement cycles will have an opportunity to occur. Let's check and see if we got any new update on that. No, we do not. So we're 33% right now. We do not need the precipitable water. So that's where we're looking at. Shear was very low at 9 knots with its last update, and maximum basin intensity would be 155 knots. So the energy available where Humberto is could get it up to potentially 155 knots, but it is currently 125 knots. So a further intensification is definitely possible. There is enough energy available in the basin to allow it to strengthen a little further. A most likely arrival time of winds is going to be sometime during the early overnight hours, or the early morning hours of Tuesday morning for Bermuda. It looks like, at least on this particular graphic, let's go over here and see if we can get it to zoom in just a little bit more on Bermuda. So yeah, it would be maybe right before sunrise. This is Tuesday, 8 a.m. right here. That's that line. Bermuda is here. So yeah, maybe right before sunrise on Tuesday. So at that point, all of your preparations should be completed by no later than Monday evening. That would be my best advice. And the earliest reasonable arrival time of winds do confirm that. Monday, 8 p.m. So Monday by sunset for folks in Bermuda, please have all your preparations complete. And definitely keep a very, very close watch on Humberto's track as we continue to go forward. And again, we already showed this wind speed probability graphic. They're definitely up there, getting quite high in their tropical storm force wind speeds, but their 50-knot wind speeds still in that 20 to 30%, as noted, of 22% that we saw there on the text graphic. All right, reconnaissance. This mission has already finished. We'll get another one later. As you could see, this was from the recon flight earlier. They did find what is going to end up being a more consolidated low. It is a low pressure. It's going to tighten up a little bit more. It could look better, honestly. But it's definitely enough to trigger it. And as you could see, drop sons. I really want to know, and I'm gonna ask around how many drop sons have they dropped for these two systems this year, because I know it's well over 100 already, well over 100, maybe, like closing in. It's got to be over 100 because this one dropped 38 by itself. And we've been flying upper level missions and drops on missions. I mean, look at this one. This one dropped 40. And there's been numerous upper level missions while what was Invest 94L, that is now Tropical Depression 9, while it was over the Greater Antilles here. So a lot of drop sons have been dropped for both of these systems. All right, let's jump into the models. As we can see here, this is the 0Z Euro, and we are going to then compare that with the overnight run of the 0Z Euro to the 6Z Euro. And we've got a lot less members that are getting it towards land. We are certainly trending less and less. There's still some ensemble members that could get it up uncomfortably close and or make landfall into the southeast. But at least by the Euro's determination here, that there's quite a few of them that take this out into the open waters and potentially threatens Bermuda on the backside of after Humberto goes through. Our GEFS, this is going to be the 6Z run. And as you can see, there are still some that are calling for some landfall, so we're not out of the woods yet. But there is quite a few of these now starting to trend out where it stalls it offshore and then keeps it away from making direct landfall. Comparing that to our Euro AI. Our Euro AI, I would like to show, we're going to go back one run, back two runs, back to the 12Z yesterday. They are tightening up quite a bit. The 0Z had quite a few that could potentially see a landfall, and then the 6Z has changed quite a bit and now shows the majority of its guidance heading out towards the open waters of the Atlantic. So it's trending in a little bit more of a positive direction. If we look at the Google DeepMind, because now we've got the low pressure on it, we don't need to do anything as far as pulling any boxes. We see what the ensembles are calling for. This is the mean right here. This is the model mean right there. So this is what the Google DeepMind is calling for. There's very few that actually get it up. And if you notice, to get it up, they all pull east first and then come back. They're not just straight up and through. If we turn on the Euro ensembles, you could see the difference there with the Euro ensembles and then the Google DeepMind. Now we'll click on the old, I guess they are running it on this. Oh, they're only doing ensembles with their old model, which that's fine. Euro high res, as you can see, brings it up to there. It doesn't go out that far. But the Euro ensembles here only have a few. And then the Google DeepMind have even fewer. And I've got to give credit to DeepMind. It's been quite performed quite good this year. I'm quite impressed, honestly. We've got here with the, we'll come back to this for the 6 p.m. live. This is the multi-member or the multi-model ensemble. This is the 0Z from last night, early this morning. We can run it out, but there has been quite a few changes. As you could see, the ensemble means all wanted to keep this well short of landfall and then turn it out. Although some ensemble members still definitely show the potential for landfall. Now, we're going to jump into looking at our hurricane specific models, and then we're going to go into all of our trends with all of our models. Folks, Halves A is going to show you something that no other model is going to show you. So please prepare for that. We're going to turn it over here to the simulated radar because the rainfall is the biggest threat from this particular system. Take a look here into the Florida Peninsula. This is going to be tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. And then as this continues to roll forward, you could see quite a bit of rain in and around the open waters of the Atlantic. How much of that gets into inland communities? That's the question. As we could see, some heavy rainfall here associated with it streaming up. And what we could see is a tilt or a lean of the vortex to the north due to the southerly shear. That would leave the mid-level center offset to the north and causing still quite a bit of rain associated with this. But as you can see, Halves A wants to get involved with a complete do-si-do with Humberto. This is not going to happen, folks. This is not going to happen. As you can see here, this okay. If I show you what Halves B, we'll click back over to the radar, and we're going to run Halves B. And as you can see, there's going to be a completely different solution here. Again, with the Florida Peninsula here tomorrow evening. And as we continue to run this forward, we will see some decent rainfall there in and around potentially the Myrtle Beach area. And it kind of stalls out a little bit, and then it decides that it is not going to make landfall and exit stage right. This would be kind of the optimal situation, and as long as we could avoid it making contact with Bermuda. Now we're going to run H-Wharf. This is the 6Z on the H-Wharf, and as you can see, potential rain definitely there. Gets it quite, 975. It's definitely a hurricane at this point, but again, never makes landfall and ushers out in response to Humberto's influence. Now, HMON shows a totally different solution. If you remember, the HMON was the only one besides the Euro AI version 2 that showed landfall into the southeast U.S. So if we were to see a landfall, this is what it may look like. So as we run this forward, we see that the rains are definitely there. We get a quite a bit of rain on the western side, which implies that it certainly has garnered a lot of influence from the upper level low over the southeast U.S. And then it begins its flooding rain potential. And as you could see, this is the scenario that we want to avoid at all costs. because at this point it stretches it out, it becomes linear, and it just rains over the same spot over and over again, hour after hour after hour after hour. And some folks would end up with big time problems. So, this potential threat is still somewhat on the table, although the potential of this currently, right now, has reduced a little bit. And it would be Category 1 hurricane here, making landfall, at least what the HMON is calling for. But look, it makes landfall and doesn't move, basically sits on top of the Charleston area hour after hour after hour until it finally gets stretched out and becomes, a little bit more frontal at that point and loses its tropical characteristics. So, hopefully we don't see this. So now let's check our trends. The HCCA consensus model, as you can see, has been shifting further and further to the south and further to the east. This is potentially a positive sign of, what we would hope to see. This would be ideal, to where we don't get the core of the storm very close at all. It allows the mid-level circulation just enough room here offshore to where we don't get that, big time rains. We're still going to get some rain, no doubt about it, but we don't get these huge rainfall totals. This would be welcomed with this particular situation. Looking at the intensity, Cat 1, getting it up to maybe about 80 miles an hour in its maximum sustained winds. If we compare the HCCA with the TVCN, they're not far off from one another. The HCCA is a little bit further south compared to what the TVCN is, but again, it shows to where it slows, but it's not this dramatic stall. So your 24 hour is here, your 48 hour is here, your 72 is here, and your 96 is here. So it's not sitting in the same spot over and over again, like some of the previous runs had been calling for. Similar to what we just looked at with the HMON, to where it just stops and sits in the same spot. That would be disastrous. That's what we don't want. We want this thing to continue to move, albeit slowly, but still move. Like, don't sit there. I mean, we don't mind, like you developing, but we would rather you do it much further away from the coast and populated areas. Taking a look at the IVCN, this is the another consensus intensity model. We get it up 65, 70 knots, somewhere in that range, 75, 80 miles an hour. The official forecast, as you can see, the official forecast, the first one had it coming up, stalling out right here. Then we started to see a little bit of, offshore come down a little bit further south. Now it's come down a little bit further south because the storm itself is slower. And that lack of progression, being that it is not located a little bit further to the north and to the east, where the winds are a little bit stronger in that flow, this isn't really moving that fast. And if y'all remember from a couple days ago, I told you, if this thing develops closer to the eastern tip of Cuba, then it shouldn't come northward as quickly as what it would have been if it would have developed over here into the southeastern Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos. So that speed change is allowing Humberto to then catch up on the backside. Plus, Humberto being stronger than what was previously thought of through the models and some of their solutions, with we'll say a Category 3 storm with Humberto. Now we're dealing with a high-end Cat 4, potentially a Cat 5 at one point. So that difference in intensity and speed, those small little changes, have resulted in what we're looking at here today. So let's run through the trends. The GFS, as you can see, 3 runs ago, the GFS had all of it coming in, making landfall. The last 3 runs have been turning it out into the open waters. That's a good sign. That's 3 runs in a row. We can call that a trend, and it's been holding that particular orientation. With the euro, now the euro, we need more info on this. It did not initialize very well, so we just need more runs of the euro to come out to be able to get a trend. Now, I'm not going to lie, the UK Met has been all over this, not making it very far to the north at all. Run after run after run after run. As you could see, all 6 runs, they barely, were what, even with about Cape Canaveral, Daytona Beach area? It does not pull this up very far at all, and it has been rather consistent with it. Now the UK Met can strike gold every now and then, so we certainly cannot dismiss it. The CMC, as you can see, brings it out. Never really got it towards land. The Canadian, I don't trust it that often, but it is showing similar solutions to what we see with the other models. So it certainly gives a little bit of plausibility to this particular solution. Here's the H-Wharf. The H-Wharf had in previous runs coming up, making direct landfall, then making direct landfall, spinning and looping back around, then not making landfall, and now it is even much further south. The slow progression of Tropical Depression 9 lifting up out of the Bahamas is delaying its ability to get far enough north to make landfall before Humberto's influence arrives. Now, as we can see here with the H-Wharf, its intensity maybe even as high up into Strong Cat 2. The H-Mon has been the one that has been consistent with landfall, but allow me to remind you of what we just saw with like the H-Wharf, how it shows landfall and then it shows a couple turns and then it shows a stall and then it starts to come back out. Well, we've got the landfalls, right? And in this last run, we know we've got that stall. So the question is, will this trend out this way in the next run and go that way with the 12Z? That's the question. I'm leaning more towards that's going to happen with some future runs. Halves A, as you could see, this is the exact same story of what I was talking about with HMON. Halves A was all for stalling this out off the coast of Georgia here. Now, look at this last run. It's a little different. It's quite a bit different. The intensity models, tropical storm, maybe getting it up towards Cat 1, and then we'll see once it is removed from, and then it starts to try to influence and combine with Humberto and whatever. Halves B, again, you see the landfall, then you see a slower, didn't make it, now look at it. This lack of forward speed, it's not a certainty yet, but this lack of forward speed is definitely changing things. And we're getting the same solution over and over again from the majority of our deterministics. We might have ensembles that do show landfall, but when you've got so many models showing the same solution, you're really going to start to lean towards that. No doubt about it. Uh-oh. There's some craziness going on in the Facebook chat. Hold on. You might, Kyle, you might, Marcus, Kyle, you may get a couple stronger storms coming in as it is developing. So maybe something with the potential for a little bit of tornadic activity, water spout. So you may get something of a little bit of excitement there for you. But stay safe with it. You know, I know you'll jump out in there, but just I'm always going to tell you to stay safe. All right. Who knows what y'all are talking about in there? Oh, the 12Z GFS is starting to run. Let's take a look. That's a little bit closer. That's a little bit. Oh, I don't like that. This is a little bit further to the west on the GFS. That gets it a little too close for comfort. As you can see, the GFS is a little bit closer to the coast than what the Euro's calling for. And this is the 12Z. This is just now populating. Again, like I told everybody, things change here, folks. I mean, like we there's still definitely some uncertainty in this forecast. It's not a slam dunk that it's not going to make landfall, but with the data that what we're looking at now, the chances of a direct landfall look to have been reduced some with some of the recent stuff that we were looking at. But again, like I said, things are subject to change. We're going to come back to this here in just a moment. We'll hit refresh on that. Let's check and see if what we get with our humidity. We do have 60 with our humidity models. So let's go back here and hit the refresh on this again. Yeah, we've got the 60 and it looks like it is starting to get that tug. You see it right there, that pull. You've got kind of a symmetrical look here. Yeah, I can cut this out. We'll bring it right back. So, oh, now we got 66. So as you could see right here, that, like, let's go right there. That little pole right here to where it is not symmetrical, it's kind of pulling it that way just a little bit. And let's see if that is the result of Humberto's influence. Still getting it quite close. I wish it was a little further to the east. I certainly do. So let's hit the refresh and see if it's uploading. All right, we'll come back to this again here in just a moment. This would definitely increase some of the risks along the Florida East Coast. No doubt. Oh, I did it dumb. I did. I got the GFS on the right now. Hmm. Yep. Those few miles are going to make all the difference in the world. 20 miles, 30 miles, and make a huge difference here. Hey, Jess, hey, you guys know what you get. I hooked on phonics did not work for me. All right, y'all know. I'm terrible at pronunciations, but it's kind of become a thing. I certainly don't do it intentionally, but uh, yeah, it's become a thing. My daughter has, I get slayed often by Kylie. She does not. I'm just thankful that she's not here because she'd be ripping me to pieces. I'm sure she would, no doubt about it. It is my daughter. I would expect nothing less. Surface getting down here to Earth Null. Let's take a look. We still got that little low pressure here that is offering that increased southerly flow. You could very clearly, we'll come to the 700 millibar level. You could very, very clearly see where the Bermuda high is right here. We've got Tropical Depression 9, and it is very clear where this thing is going to go, the pathway. So the question is, does it go through here? Or does it go like this? Does it go like this? How close do we get to the coast? Hopefully this will stay out a little bit, but we're going to have to wait and see. The 12Z is, GFS is a little concerning. I don't like it. Let's see, where are we at? We got 78. Do we get a solution? I mean, we could certainly see the pull. Doesn't look like that it really stalls it too much. It slows it down for certain, but doesn't really stall it out. I want to kind of hang around and wait till we get at least some kind of answer on that. Let's see if Tropical Tidbits has got it quicker. Let's go here. No, they're at 78 as well. This will show at least the rainfall. Still getting that heavy band of rain here for the Carolinas. Still a threat for the rain, at least with this particular run of the GFS. And knowing Dr. Cowan's website as well as I do, let's take this to 48 hours. Let's go back a run. You see the difference? That little shift, and it's not much, but you don't need much. When you're just 150 miles off the coast, you don't need much at all. And we'll take it up to 60. Previous run was there, here, there. Yeah, see? Big difference. Take it to 72. Previous run. They're close. But it's big enough. It's a little bit closer to the coast. Oh, now we got 84. This isn't getting out as fast as I would have liked it. We're going to have to wait and see what those models show. Yeah, y'all are just... the strongest hurricane to ever hit the United States, Sean, was the Great Labor Day hurricane of 1935 into the Keys. That was the lowest pressure ever recorded. 185 mile an hour, category 5. I have tried for many, many years to figure out what the surge data was into Southwest Florida from that particular hurricane, but good luck. If y'all could find any documentation on that, please let me know. And I have looked and looked and looked and looked and looked and asked and asked and asked. All right, let's run this forward another one. See, now we're starting to get that distance. This might hang out on this. That might stick behind. And that's still a possibility. But my first thing is trying to keep it off land on at least its first approach. I don't like it. It's too close. That little shift to the left is not good. It's just close enough now to drop a lot of that rainfall inland. Come on. Give me some more frames, Dr. Cowan. Please. This is the 850 millibar vorticity, by the way. Still definitely some influence there. Good amount of wind, onshore flow up here north of the Carolinas into the Virginia area would keep some keep those waters churned up for sure. That's 968. No, we don't get it down to that scale just yet. So you guys just this is how I do these things. I just sit here and go through these things over and over again. All right. At least it's trying to pull a little bit. But as you can see, it is starting to deepen as it gets back over the Gulf Stream. So these things we're going to have to definitely keep an eye on. Again, folks, a lot of uncertainty still remains in the overall forecast itself. So we're definitely going to have to check back with this over and over again. All right, everyone. I am going to go ahead and sign off here for a little while. I will be back here tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern. This way we can go through the 5 p.m. advisory. And then I will also be live at 11 p.m. tonight as well to go over the overnight primary advisory. So, all right, everybody, I'm going to shut this down here for a little while and run to the store, get some lunch and everything, and maybe watch a little bit of college football, yell at the television for a while, and then we'll be back at 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central here on Facebook and YouTube. So with that, we'll talk to you again in a few hours. Bye, everybody.